So Mrs. Kaufman is walking on the street, and she encounters Mrs. Solomon, and she is walking with her two kids, and Miss Kaufman, who hasn't seen Mrs. Solomon for so long, said, "Hey, Rivka, how are you?" "I'm doing fine." "And how are your kids?" "Which one? The doctor or the engineer?" Well, we know that in Jewish tradition, that's kind of the way it goes, right? I mean, you try and push your kids, at least it used to be that you push your kids, you choose for them their careers. Whether it's their call or not, you choose their careers. So in this parasha, it's very interesting because we have one part of the parasha that says the following. It says, "Vayechi Yaakov beretz Mitzrayim, and Jacob lived 17 years in the land of Egypt, so that the span of Jacob's life," and here is a little something, because the translation, the rabbis and the sages have a big trouble, with this passage, because in Hebrew it says, Yemei Yaakov Shnei Chayav, almost like he had two lives, Shnei Chayav. So there were like two, that his lives were like two. It's kind of like, a little different, and how you interpret that and what you would conceive with that specific part of the verse. Some people say, that actually he has his life back then in Canaan, and then the other life when he ended up in Egypt. Some people say that because at the beginning of the parasha say that his life was 17 years, that he was 17 years, that he lived 17 years. So some people say that 17 because it matches with the numerology of 17, which means the word tov, which means good. All of a sudden, that was actually the real years that he lived good. The other ones, he was suffering so much that he didn't really count as good years. So when he encountered and he goes back to see and realizes that Joseph, his son, is really alive, then that's what the rabbi suggests that would really mean. So this is the end of the book of Bereshit. And we read the death and the span life of, or we talk about life, but we have the death not only of Jacob, but also at the end of Joseph as well. And when we read tomorrow morning and we read the Haftarah, we have the death of King David, because the rabbis wanted to correlate the theme of the parasha per se. When I had the chance, and the rabbis told me they're going to be away, I see this parasha, and I cannot think of anything else than to think about my Shnei Chaya. I mean, my way of seeing my two different lives. The day that one day, when I passed, someone would say, these were the two lives of Cantor Gaston. Why I say that? Because most of you know that I'm going to be leaving soon. I'm going to be departing soon from the pulpit of Beth Torah, but it's not just of Beth Torah, but also I'm leaving and departing and almost kind of retiring from the full-time pulpit employment. And I'm talking about 31 years of my life. I know you thought that I'm 25, so how come you have 31 years, of career? The truth is that everything really started when I was 13 years old. And it really started when I was 11, when I was preparing for my bar mitzvah. But as soon as I finished my bar mitzvah, I had already a gig of high holidays for the youth in my own shul, in my own synagogue, which I accepted because when you are 13, you don't think twice. You just say yes, or you petrify. I was one of those who say yes. I got a cassette. I learned the whole service. Rabbi Roisman's nephew, the oldest, Gabriel, he was the keyboardist in my synagogue, and he taught me how to play the piano a little bit on the chords. Someone else taught me how to play the shofar, and I ran a 200 kids services, and I was probably the youngest in the audience. Life went on. I ended up in Dominican Republic when I was 18 and a half, and I was the director of the community on the north of Sosua when I was 18 until I was 20. And then at 20 to 21, I went to Santo Domingo to be also the director of the community. When I say director of community, it means I was the cantor, the rabbi, the shames, the maintenance. I was everyone there doing everything. And then I ended up in Barcelona. I was the youth director, the Hazzan. I was the High Holiday cantor in Roanoke, Virginia for 3 years until I ended up in the United States, Omaha, Nebraska. For 6.5 years, I was in Massachusetts for 7 years, and here almost 7 years as well. So that counts really 31 years and almost 15 congregations that I served. Now, this parasha is very special in many different ways, and that's why I say I cannot not talk about it, not only because I want to thank this congregation, as I want to thank all the congregations and all the lay leaders and all the rabbis and all my mentors and all the teachers that have been really surrounding me, and also the angel that protected me, the Malach HaGoeloti, the angel that always was with me, which I can't really say who that angel is. I don't see it, but I know it has been always in my journey. And then the parallels in this parasha are a lot, but I'm going just to mention a few with my life. One is that this parasha is the only one. You know that when you read the Torah, usually we leave the Torah, you might see a little bit, or you might probably had the chance to be close to the Torah when you had an aliyah, and you see that usually from parasha to parasha you have a break, or you have a little space. And everyone knows, those who study a little Torah, those who are rabbis, like I have some rabbis and sitting. And interestingly enough, actually, Rabbi Claudio Kogan and I served together for a few weeks when I was 15 years old, I think, in one of our shul neighborhoods. And were you a rabbi then? No, you were not a rabbi then. Okay. So it's a pleasure to have you here, and thank you for being one of my partners, who led services with me, or I served with you. And so this parasha is the only one that doesn't have a space. It's almost like finished with the last word of last parasha, and then it starts right away on this parasha. Vayechi. You can read plenty. You can go to Google and read a lot. I'm not going to tell you all the different reasons why the sages and the rabbis and modern rabbis, said about that space. But for me, it means continuity. So when a lot of people say, you have been a cantor for 31 years, you started to be a rabbi, for the last 5 years. Are you finishing rabbinical school? What are you really doing with your life? You're going to stop singing? What is going to happen with you? I mean, you can't stop singing. I say, no, I can't stop being who I am, right? I can't stop being a cantor. For me, it's a continuation. For me, it's the next stage in my life. When we are born, you're a doctor, or you're an engineer, or you're a rabbi, maybe a cantor. And that's your call. And we are taught that when you are little, you need to find your call. And I found my call very early in my life. Actually, I remember when I was 18, about to leave Argentina, I was in the gym, and one of my classmates says, what are you going to do? I'm going to Dominican Republic. What are you going to do there? I'm going to be, dedicate my life to be a cantor, really a cantor, and what else are you going to do? I say, look, I'm going to be one of the best, and I'm going to make a living being a cantor. And I did. And the same happened with my father when I was 14. He said, you really going to think you're going to make a living singing? The answer was, yes. And my father, in his in his ignorance, and I forgive him for that, he said, you think you're going to be Pavarotti? And I said, no, I'm going to be Gaston Bogomolni. For now then, I was 14 when I had that discussion with my father. He forgot about that. I remember talking to him, and may he rest in peace. And the thing is, I can tell from my position that it's not true that you get only one call in your life. I think that sometimes we get a call, and then we get comfortable with that call. We might have more than one call in our lives, or we might have a second level. When you play video games and you need to go to the second level, that's what I think it is. So I want to thank specifically, Beth Torah for many, many reasons. These last 6.5 years have been tremendously years of blessings for me. First of all, when I got divorced in Needham, Massachusetts, and I moved to Miami, you accepted me and Marcela without asking so many questions. Nor you, nor the rabbis. Always had the support of everyone. You never asked questions. You only just supported us. You always gave us love and the blessings. And as a result of that, Marcela and I got married here in that beautiful ex-sanctuary. But we have pictures if you don't remember how the sanctuary used to look like. But we are the ones who started to use the ballroom on our wedding. Was the first time we used the ballroom that had the floor that was white. You might not remember how it looked before. We had so many blessings here, a lot. You allowed me here to grow in a different aspect of my life. No questions about cantorially talking about, but you allowed me also, and Marcela, to teach Musar and to teach Kabbalah, and you got with my Mishigas a little bit. You allowed me to continue some of my education also and to get started into the therapeutic world. Because for those who might not know, Marcela and I opened a community mental health center, a healing center, and that's where is my next stage in my life. I'm getting all my skills, all my experience in my life, aside from doing also a master's in clinical psychology, and heading into trying to heal the world. I might be utopic, but I want to really move to something bigger. And I'm not moving around. I'm not moving to another synagogue. I'm not moving from the state, although we moved from the city. But we are around. Our office is around here in North Miami Beach. So you can always get my phone number. Call me anytime you need. I want to tell you how much honored I am that I had the chance to serve this congregation, very unique. You should know I serve so many congregations in the world. This is a very unique congregation. And I want to thank you. I want to contribute to you right now. I would like to give you a blessing that is written in this parasha. That is something we recite every single Friday night to our kids. So you gave me so many blessings that I want now to bless you. Hopefully, you appreciate this blessing. It comes from my heart and my soul to all you all. Thank you. Yesicha Elohim k'Efraim behi Menashe yadadadai yadadadai yadai Yesicha Elohim k'Efraim behi Menashe yadadadai yadadadai Yevarechech Adonai ve'yishmerecha Yair Adonai panav elecha